It's great to be here.
And I want to start maybe somewhere a little unusual, but I want to talk about bodybuilding.
Let's do it.
What was it that drew you to that? And maybe more importantly, what did you learn from what I'll call one of the most intense disciplines in the world?
So when I was 14 years old, I was 6'1", 135, and my name wasn't Tyra Banks. So that's what I got into bodybuilding. And there was a commercial, maybe you'll remember this, there was a commercial that said, I used to be skinny, rejected by girls, and now I drink milk. And I don't know if you remember that commercial, the milk commercial.
Yeah.
So for me, I said, man, I need some muscles because I need a date, I need girls, I need to go out, I need to protect myself. And I started hitting the weights at 14 years old. I would go to the gym with 3 sweaters on, and there was a guy in there named Fred who took a liking into me. He was like 5 years older than me, and I was benching the bar. The bar is 45 pounds. And when you don't have a lot of strength, when you bench the bar is shaking, right? So he pulled me and says, come here, kid. Don't look at anybody. You're gonna have a 2.5 pound rule on what you're gonna do. Every week, we're gonna increase your bench by 2.5 pounds. And that's all you need to do. And then from there, that whole 2.5 pound idea, I applied in business and everywhere else, and it worked because that led me to, I was in the Army. My room was all, posters of Arnold, of Ronnie Coleman, of Aaron Baker, of Chris Cormier, of Lee Haney, all of these guys. And I said, I'm gonna go be a Mr. Olympia one day.
What did Arnold represent to you?
Arnold represented to me the story of an immigrant with a fire to prove a point that he wanted to control the narrative. When I say controlling the narrative, to me, is he's written the story for his life. Winston Churchill said many years ago, history will be kind to me for I intend to write it. I think Arnold wrote his history. This is what I'm gonna be doing. I'm gonna come here, I'm gonna compete, I'm gonna win, I'm gonna go into Hollywood. I have an accent, with or without it, I'm still gonna go into Hollywood. I'm gonna marry a Kennedy, I'm gonna go and be a governor, and I'm gonna do what I wanna do in my life. He was an example of this is possible.
So the thing that I find interesting about bodybuilding, because I started lifting in my mid-20s-ish, and for me it was very different. I grew up in a morbidly obese family, so I was somewhat trying to escape that, but quite frankly, I wanted to look like Hugh Jackman, so that was my obsession. That was right at the heyday of the X-Men franchise. He was Wolverine.
See Hugh Jackman right now.
Oh man, I was just about it. And I really did hate it. I hated every minute of being in the gym, but there was something to that, the discipline, the 2.5 pound rule, of every time that I cycle through a body part, I've got to be a little bit stronger, a little bit stronger, a little bit stronger. And my partners and I used to talk a lot about what's super weird is here we are, we're these 3 entrepreneurs, we're using discipline in lifting in the exact same way that we would use it in business, the ability to push through something hard, the demand that you grow and get better. And we were looking at other people, and Arnold became fascinating to us because he was the only one that could apply it to every area of his life. Like what made him great in bodybuilding, and I think my favorite Schwarzenegger quote is somebody said to him, I don't want to look like you. And he said, don't worry, you won't. And like the truth and the sort of wonderful arrogance of that quote, of how hard it is that it's never going to happen by accident, but it's always fascinated me how few bodybuilders are able to translate that discipline. How are you able to take that and apply it to business and other things?
I got to tell you, I'm surprised you're asking this question because no one asked this question, but everything that I've done post bodybuilding goes back to bodybuilding. It's amazing when I tell you everything. In bodybuilding, you'll learn areas you miss out on, which is what? Most people don't do legs. Arnold at the beginning stages of his career, he would take pictures in the water because, he didn't want to show his calves. So he would always do thighs because he had the thighs, but he didn't have the calves. So I'm doing a pose with the, minimizing the calves. Then he started doing the donkey raises with Franco Colombo on his back and he really got focused about the calves. And he had these massive calves. In business, it could be the same thing. You could be all good on front end, marketing, but your operation sucks. And for me, I was so front end, I was so sales that I wasn't good in operations. And I didn't pay attention to the systems. I didn't pay attention to, we don't need technology. We don't need to look at automation. We don't look at this. We need more marketing. We need to do this. And finally, the conversation got deeper and deeper and deeper to the point where we have to pay attention to it. My wife pulled me in and she brought the board in. She brought everybody and everybody sat there and says, we need to invest in technology. And when we did that, I could scale because now you have a knob. And whenever you have a knob to control and you increase it a little bit when flow is coming in, that's what really helped us grow the business to a different level. So yeah, when I look at bodybuilding and what that did to my life business-wise, everything went back to small little growth, right? Beating your prior best, and then shocking your business because that's like a new campaign, new initiative. So same thing with business. So I would say a lot of it applied from that into business for me.
I loved the life of an entrepreneur in 90 seconds. It's basically that. It's how to build yourself brick by brick. You're talking about how you see the flash, you see the cars, the money, the house, but you don't see the times where they were freaking out, stressed, anxiety, things were going wrong, and they had to just get better every day. And by doing that day after day after day, they were able to really turn themselves into a beast. And one of my favorite stories about what you're talking about with Arnold and his calves is, so he goes through the phase where at first he's standing in the water and he doesn't let himself be photographed, and then he flips it and he makes a sweatsuit where the only part that's visible are his calves, so that he could never distract himself with something that looked good. And he would walk around the gym with his worst body part exposed so that he'd make sure that he put in the work.